Hey guys, how you doing? Luna here with a new video for the channel fucking finally. I know it's been like 2 or 3 months, but listen, apparently moving to a whole new country alone with no idea how I was going to make a living wasn't really that easy. It's been really difficult, you guys. I've been working 24/7 from like the last 2 months, and I've had no chance to upload a video. Maybe a few a week, maybe one or two, I don't know. But that's not how I wanted to run my channel. I want my channel to be like organized and with a schedule. And I definitely wasn't going to be able to do that while working as much as I did for the last 2 months. So basically, I decided to give the channel a break, to stop uploading videos for a while, and now I'm back. Another thing I want to say, guys, is thank you very much for the support the channel has been getting, even though I wasn't uploading any other videos. We're almost at 100 subscribers, so yeah, I'm really happy about that, because even though I wasn't uploading anything new, I still had a lot of comments, I still had a lot of people, interacting with the videos, so I'm really thankful about that. And since you guys seem to enjoy, the last video I uploaded before taking a break, Prince versus Michael Jackson, make sure to check that one out if you haven't already. Today's video is going to be about Michael Jackson. We're going back with the Overrated series, where I take your favorite artist, album, or song and ask the question, are they overrated? This particular one is a special episode. This is the first one we do about an artist or a song. We're talking about an album, and what an album it is. We're talking about Thriller. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know this album already. Everyone's familiar with Thriller, and you know how important the album was for pop culture. And I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with the fact that this is the best-selling album of all time, if we don't count compilation albums like that fucking hideous thing from the Eagles. So the fact that Thriller is the best-selling album of all time allows us to ask a question or take two different stands. So you can either say, yes, it's the best-selling album of all time, it's obviously overrated, or you can say it's the best-selling album of all time, how can it be overrated? And they're both pretty much valid. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you know, if you have seen my videos, that I believe that sales have nothing to do with quality. Actually, some of the most influential albums in the history of music didn't do that good. For example, you have the case of Vashti. She released an album called Just Another Diamond Day in the 70s, which, by the way, is one of the greatest folk albums of all time. But the album did really poorly in terms of sales. It wasn't until like 30 years later that people went back to the album and listened to the album thanks to the internet and decided that the album was a fucking masterpiece. And thank God, because I cannot imagine my life without that album in it. So how much an album sells has more to do with the marketing behind the album and a few coincidences, and I think Thriller is the best example of it, because the amount of records Thriller sold were not really because of the music itself. I mean, you do have a lot of the most popular songs ever, for example, Beat It, the title track Thriller, and you have Billie Jean. But the fact that Thriller sold as much as it did, it's more due to the fact of, for example, the title track Thriller having one of the first promotional videos for a song. That is one of the most important moments in pop culture. Thriller, the music video for Thriller being premiered on MTV is responsible for a lot of the copies that were sold of Thriller. The same thing with the moonwalk Michael Jackson did in that performance in 1982, I believe, where a lot of people, after they saw that, they decided to go ahead and buy the album. But again, like saying that all of these different things had more to do with the album selling as much as it did rather than the actual music the album has to offer, that doesn't necessarily mean that the album is not good. This album is often seen as one of the greatest albums of all time. I'm pretty sure most people that know something about music would give this album an undeniable 10. In my opinion, Thriller is not a 10. Like, it's not a perfect album, or it's not an album that does everything it can do well. A 10 is an album that everything about it say, this is right for the record, this is right for the music, there's nothing to be changed, there's nothing I would change, it's perfect as it is, in its own way. In this album, this is the first time we see the famous Michael Jackson ad-libs, where he used his breath. This weird-ass sexual ad-libs he used to do back then. This is the first time we get to see those, especially in the opening track, Wanna Be Starting Something, where basically the whole track at a certain point is a bunch of ad-libs put together. That track is one of the highlights of the record and one of the most important changes Michael Jackson ever did, because he said goodbye to this disco formula he had in Off the Wall, saying hello to this pop, R&B, and disco crossovers we see in Thriller. The themes were also a bit darker, more sexual and more, say, mysterious, like in the track Billie Jean. And when the album finds itself at its best, like in tracks again like Beat It, one of the most motivational songs ever, where Michael included rock music onto the mix. You have Thriller, again, the use of synths in Billie Jean, so mysterious and like enigmatic. How versatile Michael Jackson was as a performer in this album. There are a lot of things that may say to you this album is definitely a 10, but the thing is that an album is more than a sum of its parts, and there are some parts in this record. For example, the track Baby Be Mine, again, wonderful performance. Production is, it's okay, I guess. I don't have a problem with the production on that track, but some of the decisions in terms of like, writing the song, for example, the fact that the song is just the same verse over and over and over again when it comes to like, the song feels so flat, like it doesn't go anywhere. Often with a Michael Jackson song, there's a point where you feel like the song goes to this climax and everything goes crazy. In this track, everything's just so flat, and there's a sense placed in between verses that sound so awkward, like they shouldn't be there. There's no point for them to be there. Then you have The Girl Is Mine, which is probably one of the worst fucking collaborations ever, and you have Paul McCartney, which is one of my favorite artists ever, participating in that. But it's such a weird concept. Like, you have Paul McCartney, this British dude that by 1980 he was like, what, in his 40s or something, singing in this really low tune that Paul McCartney is known for, like, "Hello Michael, how you doing today?" And plus, like, the parts when they, like, go at each other, like, they're having an argument or something, it's so... Yeah, there's no other word I can give this shit. This is just weird, because you have Paul McCartney, again, with this manly voice, British accent, 40-year-old dude, talking to Michael Jackson, which... How old was Michael Jackson back then? Like, 20-something? This, like, girly voice Michael Jackson is known for, or even worse, childish voice Michael Jackson has, and it's like such lame acting from both of them. And the lyrics are generic. There's nothing fun about the instrumental. There's nothing that special about it. I guess that if you go, if you're on your car and you listen to it on the radio, it's not such a bad tune to like just move your head to. But if you actually pay attention to the song and what the fuck is going on, it's not a good track. Then you have Human Nature, a song that, okay, like, it's not a bad song. I like the song, but inside the album it sounds weird as hell. In most of the record, Michael Jackson's vocals are really clear, are really clean. In this song particularly, the production, I don't know what the fuck happened, but it doesn't sound as good as the rest of the album. And I know this is something I every time I talk about this with my friends, they completely go at me, because the Human Nature for them is one of the best Michael Jackson songs ever. I just don't I don't disagree, but I don't think it sounds good in the album. And you do have a few tracks on that second half of the record that are really good. For example, Pretty Young Thing, I like that. It's a really weird song to to go back to, especially after all the controversy Michael Jackson suffered in the 90s and 2000s with this whole thing. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, listening to Michael Jackson sing about a pretty young thing isn't exactly like my favorite thing to do. But if you actually if you're not an idiot and you know how to separate the art from the artist, and you can listen to the song with no context and not thinking about everything that happened after, you're really going to enjoy that song. It's a really good song, you guys. Come on, just shut the fuck up. Another thing with Thriller is that this album, other than the marketing behind the record, wasn't really all that influential, which again, if you've seen past videos, you know that that's a really important thing for me, because I feel like the influence is a really big part of the legacy that the album leaves behind. Instead of going for something new, Michael Jackson went for something that he already knew it worked, and added his own style to it, which there's nothing wrong about that. There isn't that much to it other than he just did a really good album, and that's it. I think it's more due to the fact that it was such a phenomenon. He was so glamorous, and he added this Devo style to his personality, and it was such a big change from what he used to be when he was with his brothers, or even after Off the Wall. So yeah, I think that the music videos, the performances, the moonwalk thing and the tour had a lot to do with the legend of the album, you know, the whole marketing behind it, not only the music. Actually, in my opinion, even though I do believe that this album was a new beginning for pop music, I think, again, it's more due to the fact of everything that surrounded the album. And you know, anyone that would like to argue that Billie Jean, Thriller, and Beat It are some of the best songs ever made, I totally agree with you. But an album, again, it's more than the sum of its parts, and there's more than a few questionable moments in this album, and that already is like a reason to not give this album a 10. So while this album, yeah, it's a classic, it's definitely a classic, I wouldn't say otherwise, but I do feel that, you know, considering the fact that we're talking about the best-selling album of all time, even 40 plus years after it was released, it's kind of overrated. That'll be it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed. I really hope that you guys understand that this is only my point of view. Like, if you don't agree, you can just leave it down below in the comments. And like, I'm gonna say it again because I know some of you get so triggered whenever I say that something is overrated. I'm talking about the album as a whole. I'm not talking about the legend of the album itself. I'm not talking about the, you know, the importance of Thriller and the quality of the album either. I do think it's an amazing album and it's definitely a classic. But if you put it up against other pop albums, say, I don't know, all of these fucking albums that were released in the exact same year, I do believe those albums are way better than Thriller. And that's just pretty much it. I'm going to try to upload as frequently as I can, so please be patient. I'm really going to try my best, so I hope that you understand that I'm a grown man. I need to work, okay? Monetization's still not it. I'm still not getting any money from these videos, and even if I did, with the views I get right now, it's probably not going to be a lot. So yeah, once again, I really hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that I can see you guys soon with a new video. But until then, bye.